Ford did something that should outrage every truck buyer in America. They turned their most affordable pickup into a luxury vehicle that costs more than many families make in a year. If you've been watching Maverick prices climb from under $21,000 for the cheapest variants to nearly $50,000 for the most expensive variants, and wondering how Ford could destroy their own affordable truck promise so completely, you need to understand 5 reasons behind this pricing disaster. While other automakers are trying to build cheaper trucks for working families, Ford has abandoned that mission entirely and transformed the Maverick into an overpriced pickup that's pricing out the very people it was designed for. Number 5. Recent refresh. Picture this. You've been following the Maverick since launch, expecting a typical mid-cycle refresh with maybe a $1,000 price bump for some new features, but Ford used their refresh as an excuse to unleash one of the most aggressive price increases in recent automotive history. Most automakers use refreshes to add minor updates and justify modest price hikes, but Ford weaponized their Maverick refresh to completely abandon their affordable truck promise. Here's what makes this refresh so outrageous for budget-conscious buyers who trusted Ford's original vision. Yes, Ford redesigned the front fascia with modern LED lighting systems, introduced bold new color options like Orange Fury and Marsh Gray, and created performance-oriented appearance packages including the ST line and FX4 variants. They also modernized the cabin with upgraded materials and better build quality because they knew buyers spending $30,000 expect premium features. But here's the problem. These updates should have added maybe $2,000 to $3,000 to the sticker price, not the massive increases Ford actually implemented. Ford boosted the hybrid system for smoother urban throttle response and improved battery thermal management, but they used these relatively minor improvements to justify price increases that far exceed the actual cost of the upgrades. The technology package featuring a 13.2-inch Sync 4 touchscreen and 12.3-inch digital cluster became Ford's excuse to push pricing into luxury territory. Ford's increases are absolutely massive. A typical refresh might add $1,500 to $2,500 to a vehicle's price, but Ford used their updates to justify increases of $5,000 to $8,000 depending on the trim level, therefore transforming what should have been a modest price adjustment into a complete pricing restructure that abandoned their core customers. So Ford made the truck more attractive and loaded it with technology. But if you think using a refresh to justify massive price increases is bad, wait until you see what happens when everyone wants one, but Ford can't build enough to meet demand. Number 4. All about demand. Imagine wanting to buy a popular concert ticket, but every time you try to purchase one, the price keeps going up because everyone else wants the same thing. That's exactly what's happening with the Maverick. Ford created a truck so desirable that they literally cannot build enough to satisfy demand, therefore creating a pricing nightmare for consumers. Since its introduction in 2022, demand for the Maverick has consistently outmatched Ford's production capacity. The truck debuted with that sub-$20,000 sticker price and immediately prompted an order surge that completely overwhelmed Ford's manufacturing capabilities. Ford stopped accepting orders for 2023 vehicles almost immediately after launch because their factories simply couldn't keep up, therefore creating a supply shortage that has dealers and consumers in a bidding war. Think about how frustrating it must be to finally find the perfect affordable truck, only to discover you can't actually get one at the advertised price. This year, the Maverick sold 48,041 units in just Q2. That's a 26.3% increase year over year, while competitors like the Hyundai Santa Cruz are watching their sales decline. Ford's limited inventory has forced buyers into a desperate situation where they're paying premiums well beyond MSRP just to get their hands on any Maverick. The real-world impact on families trying to buy their first truck is heartbreaking. Reddit users share their frustrations with jaw-dropping price increases. Ordered an XLT hybrid. Price went up nearly 20%, and my bare-bones XL hybrid rollover was $4,000 more expensive. Another buyer reported seeing laughable $8,000, $7,500 gouge markups at dealerships. These aren't just numbers. They represent real people who save for months only to discover their budget no longer gets them the truck they plan to buy. The demand story is crazy enough, but it gets even worse when you realize that basic economic forces beyond Ford's control are making everything more expensive, which brings us to our next shocker. Number 3. Inflation. Nothing hurts worse than discovering that the truck you could afford 3 years ago now costs more than your annual salary increase. The inflation story behind Maverick pricing is absolutely brutal when you realize how much buying power you've lost in just a few short years. When families were budgeting for their first truck purchase in 2022, the Maverick seemed like a dream come true at around $20,000 excluding destination. But by now, those same families are facing prices that have soared by nearly 30%, with the base model starting at $26,295 plus $1,595 destination. That's a crushing $6,400 increase that has pushed the truck out of reach for many working-class buyers who needed it most. The pain gets worse when you realize these weren't gradual increases spread over many years. Internal updates raised prices further by about $2,375 for base trims just in the last year, making budgeting nearly impossible for families trying to plan their purchase. By early this year, the XL Hybrid was priced at $28,590, including destination. That's $7,100 more than its 2022 launch price, therefore pricing out exactly the cost-conscious buyers Ford originally targeted. External economic pressures made everything worse. U.S. tariffs implemented this spring introduced an additional 25% cost on imported vehicles and components, including those from Ford's Hermosillo plant. Because political decisions don't care about your truck buying budget, Ford began adjusting pricing mid-year with increases across trims ranging from $645 to over $1,850 depending on configuration, hitting buyers with price shocks they never saw coming. Inflation is driving prices higher across the board, but Ford is actually trying to convince buyers they're getting a better deal in 2026, which leads us to one of the most misleading marketing tactics we've ever seen. Number 2. Cheaper than last year. Not really. Picture walking into a store where the sale price is actually higher than last month's regular price, but the salesperson insists you're getting a great deal. That's exactly what Ford is doing with their 2026 Maverick pricing strategy, and the manipulation is almost insulting to buyers who've been paying attention. Ford's marketing department is working overtime to position the Maverick starting price as lower than the previous year, but this message is built on one key manipulation that preys on buyers who don't research thoroughly. The company brought back the EcoBoost front-wheel drive trim that was pulled, allowing them to advertise the 2026 XL EcoBoost front-wheel drive at around $27,145. But here's what Ford doesn't want you to realize. When measured against earlier years, the EcoBoost front-wheel drive now carries a higher MSRP than when it was previously offered, therefore completely undermining their marketing narrative. Ford is comparing apples to oranges to create an illusion of savings that will disappear the moment you try to finance the truck and realize you're still paying more than buyers did years ago. Ford's cheaper than last year claim is technically accurate only due to trim reconfiguration, but buyers who remember what they could afford just a few years ago understand the saving is completely fake. So Ford is manipulating price comparisons to hide the real increases, but that's nothing compared to what they've done to the hybrid model that was supposed to be the affordable fuel saver, which brings us to the most outrageous pricing transformation of all. Number 1. Hybrid is out of control. When eco-conscious families were shopping for their first truck in 2022, the XL Hybrid started under $21,500 with destination included, making it the perfect choice for buyers who wanted to save money at the gas pump without breaking their budget on the purchase price. The Hybrid was positioned as the smart financial choice. A lower upfront cost plus better fuel economy meant real savings for working families. Fast forward to present day and those same families are facing sticker shock that makes the Hybrid completely unaffordable. The XL Hybrid now begins at $28,590, and that's a devastating $7,100 increase over just 3 years that has destroyed the value proposition for budget-conscious buyers. The Hybrid evolved from being the cheapest option to one of the most expensive trims in the entire lineup, therefore abandoning the very customers who made it popular in the first place. Current hybrid pricing reveals just how far Ford has strayed from their original mission. XL Hybrid at $28,145, XLT Hybrid at $30,645, and Lariat Hybrid all-wheel drive at $38,090. Consumer demand for hybrids created this pricing monster, with hybrid sales rising 37% year over year, but this demand gave Ford the excuse to jack up prices beyond all reason. The 2026 Ford Maverick represents a perfect storm of pricing pressures that have have transformed an affordable truck into a luxury vehicle. Corporate greed disguised as improvements, artificial scarcity driving up demand, inflation crushing working families, deceptive marketing tactics hiding real price increases, and the complete abandonment of the hybrid's original promise to save buyers money. What started as a $20,000 solution for budget-conscious truck buyers has become a $40,000 plus problem that prices out the very people Ford claimed they wanted to help. The good thing is that this will end soon, and that's why you must check out our next video about Chevy releasing a brand new $19,000 pickup. If you thought that Ford could go on with price hikes forever, well, times have changed and new rivals are around the corner. With more options coming, we are pretty sure that Ford will have to put it in reverse gear and make this pickup affordable again.